Welcome back. How does luck figure in our lives? We often wish each other good luck. When we find ourselves in a bad situation, we lament our lack of luck. Are some of us just lucky? Do Muslims believe in luck, chance, accident, and fortune? What are the dangers of attributing success or failure to chance? With me to discuss this topic is Dr. Shabir Ali. Now, Dr. Shabir Ali, many people do believe in luck. If we can go by lottery tickets, gambling, people do put a lot of store on luck, on chance. So what does Islam have to say about that? Because as Muslims, we believe that everything happens by God's will. So do these two things contradict? These two concepts contradict?
Mm-hmm. The traditional formulation of the Muslim view about this says that, well, God has determined all affairs from eternity, and there is no room for anything like chance or luck or accident. We speak in modern parlance about an accident waiting to happen. Mm-hmm. We have the sense that something is about to fall and it will fall eventually. Mm-hmm. Well, in the Islamic classical way of thinking about this, everything is like accidents waiting to happen. They will happen precisely as predetermined by God for all eternity. This was not always the view, however. It seems that the very earliest Muslims actually had a view that on the one hand holds that God determines certain affairs in advance, and there are certain things that we just simply can't help. We can't control what God has predetermined, but at the same time there are other things which God has left open, and those things will be determined by our own choices. Like we have, for example, a report that Omar was the second caliph of Islam. He was circumambulating the Kaaba, walking as pilgrims do in worship, and he was praying to God, God, if you have written me to be from among the people of hell, please erase that and write me among the people who will go to paradise. So that means that there was a sense that though God has in a way pre-planned everything and even written it down, God can erase some parts of it and modify, change it, and take something from one place and put it in the other, and so on. So God is entirely free to act, and human beings are also free to choose. And based on the choices of people, especially in response to our prayers, God will bring about new things, or God will change the plan in response to our choices. So there was.
So if God is free to act and change the plan, then does that leave a space for luck and chance?
This is a question actually for modern science as well, and I want to deal with that before I come back to the religious way of thinking about this. In Newtonian physics, it was thought that there was no place for anything like luck. Everything is happening inevitably according to certain causes and effects. And if we're looking at event A now, well, that was caused by B, and B was caused by C, and C was caused by D, going all the way to Z, and then it doesn't stop there. It's double A and so all the way down, all the way back to as far as we can imagine. And so the human action at this juncture is the result of a long series of causes that we do not fully know, but we can be sure that this action now is in a way predetermined by this long series of causes. So everything that is happening, scientists would say, is measurable or determined in this particular way. And so there's no room for chance.
And are all the causes logical?
They would say that everything follows inevitably from previous causes. And so they speak of scientific determinism in that way. What has been found more recently, however, is that at the quantum level, now we're into Einstein's world, we've left Newton behind, and at the quantum level, atoms and subatomic particles behave in ways which are not predictable. So an atom may decay, and you can say that there is a high probability of it decaying within a certain period of time, but you cannot predict the precise moment when it will decay. If you if you try to observe a particle, the particle will behave as a particle if you observe it for particle type properties, but it will also behave like a wave if you observe it for wave-like properties, whereas a particle is not supposed to be a wave and a wave is not supposed to be a particle, and how can it be both? It seems that now, depending on your observation, the particle behaves differently, which in science nothing was supposed to do. A scientific experiment was supposed to be such that the experimenter or the observer is totally detached from what he or she is observing and should have no effect at all on the phenomenon being observed. But here we find that at the subatomic particle, the observer does have an effect on what is being observed. So this leads to what is widely known as the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. And that basically says that at that subatomic level, the particles behave in an indeterminate way. And that now opens up the possibility for the universe to evolve and develop in a manner that should be described as a combination of law and chance. There is necessity and indeterminacy together at the same time. So
that's very interesting then, because this opens up a space for Muslims, or anyone in fact, to believe in chance then, in terms of their own life.
At least for Muslims to affirm that, and people of other faiths as well, to affirm that we are not just simply predetermined in everything we do, that God has left some space open for us to make choices, and based on those choices he will reward or punish us. It is based on those choices that we are morally culpable for sins, or that we are deserving of praise if we choose what is good. But still, I would hesitate to describe all of this as chance, because it is possible that God has left things to develop in some way that we might describe as chance occurrences. But then that too is within certain controlled limits. Let's say you ask me for $1, and I say, okay, no sweat, I can give you $1. But if I feel a little bit playful and I say, okay, I'll give you a coin, flip this coin. If it turns up heads, I'll give you the $1. If it turns up tails, I give you 2. So it's within my generosity to give you 2. So I can give you the 1 that you ask for, or the 2 if it turns out that you get tails, right? If I feel a little bit more generous, I can give you a die, and I can say, okay, you roll it. If it turns out to be 1, I give you 1. 2, I give you 2. Up to 6, I give you 6. So there is a certain chance here involved, but it's within controlled limits. So it can be anywhere from 1 to 6, and I'm cool with that. I can give you up to $6, no sweat. So there is a concept here in which God can leave the universe to, in a way, evolve such that the potentials of the universe to go one way or another remain, and regardless of whichever of these ways it goes, like with the die now, anywhere from 1 to 6 of these possibilities, God is cool with that. He can tolerate that. He's fine with it going this way or that way. It is within some controlled limits, and at the same time there's a possibility for it to go this way or that way. So too with everything from big to small, human actions, human choices, the chance of winning a lottery, the chance of being in an accident. All of this is within that scope of limitations. And if God wants to limit it from, let's say, he doesn't want 6 possibilities, but he only wants 2, he goes from the die to the coin. So he can limit the possibilities, and he can even narrow it down to 1. If he wants everything to be free-flowing up to a certain point and then reach a bottleneck and go through that one avenue and then eventually spread out again to many possibilities, he can do that as well. So
how would a human being then run their life, knowing that there is this chance element, there is this luck element? How would they run their life? Obviously, they can't rely on it entirely.
True, and this is an important point, because in our theology we are taught that God writes down the sustenance of people. So in that sense, let's say God has written for you that you will be a millionaire. Well, if that is written in such a fixed and unchangeable way, then you will be a millionaire one way or another. Now, if you say, okay, let me play the lottery, I'll be a millionaire that way, then maybe that's one way that you will become a millionaire, perhaps, perhaps not. Maybe you'll become a millionaire by a different way. And sometimes people turn to crime. And they think, okay, I can get $1 million by turning to crime. But maybe God only predetermined for this person to get $1 million, and he doesn't know it, and he turned to crime and he got his $1 million, and he's happy, but he's culpable because he turned to crime. But if he hadn't turned to crime, the same level of intelligence that God has given him and he has used for criminal purposes, had he employed that same intelligence to develop a business, perhaps he would have been a CEO of a great thriving business, and he would have gotten his $1 million anyway. So if God has written for you to get this, then you will definitely get it if he's written it in an unchangeable way. And then you are either rewarded for getting it in a good way or punished for getting it in a criminal or illegal way. So that now alerts us to the control that God has on our system. And what looks like us as a possibility to be lucky may not be for our ultimate luck. It may bring us something that was going to come to us by the plan of God anyhow, but God's plan was to give it to us, or God would have liked to give it to us in a different and lawful way, and we have chosen the unlawful way to get the same thing.
So we shouldn't wait for chance then to change our future or to improve our future?
And no, in fact, we should recognize that there are chance occurrences, but at the same time, we should not depend on chance to make us rich or make us happy. We should be planning with the help of God to use the methods which God has prescribed and allowed for us to achieve happiness and to achieve wealth and the good things in life. And at the same time, we should turn in prayer to God, knowing that He is in ultimate control of all affairs. And there are times when He may give us scope and possibilities, but there are also times when He may limit those possibilities. And if we want more possibilities open before us, then we need to turn to God in prayer and ask Him, the controller of the universe, to make things possible for us.
All right, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
We'll take a break. When we return, we will answer questions we receive from you, our viewers.